Right, here we've got a S-Reg single overhead cam 1.6 Mk4 Golf petrol. I thought I would just share where I got up to now for other people because I couldn't find a video myself when I was trying to sort this. So I'm looking to replace the drain the coolant. This is best done when it's actually not jacked up. Get a bowl, stick it under. So you'll see there's a tap here. And if you twist this tap, you'll find that when it's not already empty, the coolant will flow out into the bowl below. First thing I had to note was you actually need to take off just the plastic casing from the engine. So it's just basically pretty trim. It's these two pieces here. These little plastic lugs that you remove. Underneath those plastic lugs you have the bolts which you remove. And as you can see, this is a 1.6 SR. After the plastic casing, you reveal the top of the engine. Just makes it easier to work. What I've done is I have jacked the car up onto axle stands underneath, and I've removed the access panel here, which was in the wheel arch, to give me good access to the crankshaft at the bottom. Handbrake is on. I've then unbolted the coolant reservoir from a bolt here and a bolt here. Coolant reservoir was sitting here. I've unbolted the power steering reservoir as well, which I've moved to here, which was sitting here. So, just as a backstory to the issues I was having, the car would run for about 10-15 minutes, and then it would suddenly go from 90 degrees to 95 degrees, 100 degrees, 110, until the engine temperature light would come on. It would say it overheating. It would be revving on idle, so like a complete loss of power. But then when it was cold, it would run fine again. On the tubes, so on the coolant coming out of the engine, it was red hot. On the coolant coming into the engine, as you'd expect from the radiator, it was actually cool. So I replaced the thermostat, and I replaced the temperature coolant sensor. Still doing it, so the last resort was to look at the coolant pump, which it's taken me a good 3-4 hours to get to home now, but it seems to be the coolant pump. Timing chain belt, these clips here, so just disconnected these clips, which was here, just slotted in over the top there. And then I've come underneath the car and I've removed this cover, which was bolted on. I shall show you where it was bolted, just up above here, just below the cog you can see, and just above the bottom. So having removed that, then what I've done is I've removed the belt from here, and I've removed the tensioner, which was bolted onto here. Here was the tensioner belt. So this auxiliary belt tensioner was attached here. Now funnily enough, this one actually only had one bolt in and it was still functioning fine. And to remove the auxiliary belt tensioner, what I did was I got my finger underneath, and I was trying to show you this in an earlier video. Earlier clip. And it was actually relieving the tension with a socket on here. So you've got a socket on this part here. And I pulled down, and that pushed this way, and as it pushed this way, it relieved the tension on the belt, which enabled me to slip the belt off. And the one bolt, which was in there, the only bolt, I removed, and this unit came off. The tensioner was gone. Taken off the area around here so I can get to it, and now I'm currently left with the belt itself, which I'm about to mark up with some red paint, just to make sure that when I remove the water pump, which is down here, which I can actually feel playing, then none of the engine moves. So I'm going to mark a line like this existing line here. I'm going to mark this just to make sure it's not moved. I'm going to mark at the bottom here to make sure this doesn't move. So I've marked at the top here with 2 points. I've done 2 points because I've seen another video on YouTube of a chap that did 2 points. I've marked 2 points to show that if it does move, I know exactly where. And on the bottom again, quite rudimental I know, but I've marked 2 points again. So if I get any movement, I know how to get that back into the position. Now, for all you YouTube viewers out there, I just wanted to make this clear that I've never attempted anything like this before, and I would class myself as probably quite an amateur DIY mechanic, so there will be feedback and criticism about the way I'm doing things, but this is for similar people like myself who may want to attempt this on a car that, to be honest, is not worth a huge amount of money, but if you can fix it yourself, you can save yourself a heck of a lot of money. So just back to what I'm going to attempt next is now I'm going to attempt to remove the belt temporarily, slide it over to the side here, slide it over to the side here, then I'm going to get an Allen key on the water pump and try and remove the water pump itself. Hopefully I'll find that it's really noisy and really sticky and running bad. So that's something I want to show you. I'm trying to release the tension on the belt to remove the belt. So here's the tensioner, just down here, you can see, and on the side of the tensioner there is this little bit that I can just about point out where my finger is now, which I hope you can see, just there behind it. Now when I pull my finger on that, now I don't know if I can do this so you can see, but when I pull this, you can see that the tension on the belt actually becomes less. You can actually see it moving slightly, you see? But I'm going to release the tension and try and unhook the belt from the top. I've managed to loosen the tension and I've slid the belt almost all the way off, and I've just marked it again just on the cog itself just before I actually fully remove it. So what I've done is I've now slid off the belt and my lines still mark up, which is great. The belt is just lying here, so I kept the tension quite tight on it when I was pulling it off. I don't want the belt to come off the internal very bottom cog, which I can't get access to, so I've just carefully moved it out of the way, and now I've got access to the pump, which is here. Now I don't know if you can hear that, but that is what I was looking for, so I'm a very happy man now. That is exactly the same as another YouTube video I've seen, but there's a lot of noise coming from that, and that is almost certainly a buggered water pump and the cause of my overheating problems with the car. So just so you know, I've already replaced the coolant temperature sensor and I've replaced the thermostat, and as a matter of course this is the last thing to check, and as Sod's Law states, it is the bloody water pump. So there's 2 bolts on the water pump that I'm going to try and remove. One which is here, Allen key bolt, the other which I think is here, and there may even be a third underneath. Here's the pump. I'm going to try and remove those bolts. Bolt number 1 is coming out now. Just removing that. I'm paranoid about dropping something down into the engine, so there's another bolt just underneath here which I've just loosened, so I'm just going to take that bolt out very carefully. Now I'm going to be really careful, because if I lose this bolt, it's going down into the bottom of the crankshaft, and that is not a good thing. So I'm just removing that. Now, as you can see, I mean, it's tight, but it's doable. Nice, that's a second. Now the third one, which I was having trouble getting access to, I believe there's one here where my thumb is, one here where this finger is, that's gone. It's this bolt here I'm having trouble getting access to, but continue to try. The only way I seem to be able to get access to this is with a 10mm spanner. I can't get a socket on it, I can't get the Allen key with a socket on it, so I'm just going to proceed with this 10mm spanner and see how I get on. I've managed to get in there with the 10mm and just give it that first little snap to loosen it,
and it's going to be a finger job, I believe, just to get this out of here. It's going to take me a while. Just to give you an update, I was having trouble getting the pump off itself. So I found that there's this plate here that is actually on the final screw, bolt that I want to remove here. You see if I can get the light on that better for you. That bolt that I've removed there has actually got this metal guard over it here, with a bolt there, which I need to remove first. So I'm going to remove that, and then hopefully the pump will come out. This is the culprit out. I've removed that guard now, and I'm left with the pump again. So we shall try. Right. So I think I'm there after quite a few minutes of faffing about. I haven't been able to get it off. I've been looking for what might be stopping it. I think it's just tight in there, so I've had to actually get a little metal crowbar, jam it in here, and then with a rubber lump hammer I've been hammering away at it, and it's slowly been coming out, and I think it's that bugger that is just completely stuck in there through the water leak. And if you have a look, you can actually see around the outside where the coolant is almost solidified and forced it to stay in there. So hopefully this should come out, and there we go, and we're out, and it's in pieces, which is exactly what I wanted to see. It's crumbling in my hands as I touch it. So let me see if I can carefully get this out of the way. So there we go. Stick that on the bench. Out of the way here. Sorry. So yeah, that's that is the water pump. I don't think it should look like that. A little bit too exciting for me there. So just carrying on. Now I've got the clearly faulty water pump out. I'm just going to give it a clean up in the engine where the old one came out, and I'm going to leave this off the road for a week while I order the part, and then I'll come back next week and tell you how we get on putting it back together. As a final bit to this video, because the fan blade was so damaged, I was worried that there was residual plastic embedded in here. Now the pipe that goes from there is tiny. That's this pipe here. So the only place it could be is the next part along, which is the thermostat, which I've previously replaced anyway. So I've just taken off the thermostat housing. I'm just removing the thermostat again, just to ensure that when I do get the part, that there's no crap of the old broken pump inside there. So I'll get my finger in there and I'll have a dig about. Now, for the sake of what, 2 minutes work, there's nothing in there. But that is good peace of mind for me now that I know when I do get the new pump that there's no crap in there. And that is the thermostat, for anyone that is wondering. When the temperature gets to temperature, which this one is 88 degrees, when it gets to 88 degrees, this opens up and allows the water into the engine to cool it. This is a little tip for anybody that thinks their water pump might. I was trying to diagnose what the fault was with this. If it was a water pump, I changed the thermostat, which is here. Now when you remove the thermostat, you can actually get your fingers inside to where the water pump would be. Now, had I known at the time I could have got my fingers in here, I would have been able to feel, on my particular case, that the fan blades were broken and that the water pump itself was broken, because I'd be able to feel the fan blade and in fact probably pull out some of the segments of the fan blades. So just as a tip to anyone else that thinks their water pump might have gone on this model, get your thermostat out, see if you can get your fingers in, see if you can feel the blades are broken. Save you having to take apart this whole lot if it isn't the case.